people of the internet, also the Freedom Astrologer once again here, and bringing you a little bit of a deeper and longer dose of freedom this time. We're going to talk about deep patterns again, as you know, or you might know if you're kind of like a subscriber to my channel. I do these types of deep pattern belief types of astrology merged with psychology type videos where sometimes I share patterns that I've been working with my clients, with the people who come to me. And this is one of those videos. And just to kind of set the tone and set the context, I've changed the chart a little bit, but the main configuration we're going to talk about is the same. Some of you might already, who have watched my videos before, know this stellium, this kind of cluster of planets that might be causing these things. But I'm going to dissect it from a little bit of a different perspective, because I changed it a little bit and I wanted to give you guys something a little bit different, but the essence stays the same. And I have full permission from this person actually to share these. I'm not going to name, their date or birth or anything like that. They're going to stay anonymous. And yeah, just very grateful for a person who is, willing to share, or at least anonymously, their kind of like struggles and how they got through those struggles and how they're working through those struggles and what's even underneath that suffering and struggling and what happened a very long time ago actually. So let's and for some of you as well, probably noticed that a lot of, or a big chunk of my videos are to do with Scorpio energy, a lot of planets in Scorpio. I'm not picking on Scorpios. I don't want to say Scorpios are bad or they kind of like, anything negative, basically. The only thing that is happening actually is Scorpios do have it a little bit harder during this lifetime. This means they've gone through more difficult events during their life. This means they usually need to spend more time in transforming their beliefs, transforming themselves, transforming their energy, and then they can help others as well later on. But we're going to talk about that in another video, or go look at other Scorpio videos on my channel. Now, basically the gist is, guys, when you have a lot of Scorpio energy in the chart, you have a lot of gifts. Yes, you have a lot of deep gifts and intuitive gifts and psychological gifts, esoteric, I can go on and on. But this also means that you have a lot of emotional turmoil in your life, or have had it in the past. And this is one of those videos where we dissect this emotional turmoil a little bit. So let's dive in, and I will share a little bit about these patterns. Now, we're going to be focusing on this. This is a stellium in the sign of Scorpio. We have the Venus here, we have the Moon here, we have the Pluto here. It's in the 3rd house, and I'm going to tell you what these all mean. So, important things to understand for this video specifically: the Moon is mostly the mother, most often the mother and early childhood environment. Venus is food. It's the food we eat, we put in our mouth. Pluto are the kind of like very deep wounds, painful wounds that we pick up, or you can always say like our deepest of wounds that we usually pick up during childhood. And 3rd house, and I want to mention here the 9th house as well, because the 3rd house and 9th house axis is intimately connected. And why do I say that? Because the 3rd house is the thoughts we have, the thinking we do, at 9th house is what we believe. So whatever we think, we start to believe. So this is one of the reasons why it's so intimately connected. I wanted to convey this to you as well, because it's also important for this video. So remember these, and you can always come back and listen to what these kind of configurations mean, so you can understand why this pattern is prevalent in this person's life. So, or now let's say it's more out in the open. It's being dealt with. It's being healed gradually. Remember, guys, whenever something is Scorpio, usually it takes a little bit more time because it's a fixed sign. So fixed signs take longer. Now, okay, so we talked about the mother, we talked about Taurus, the food, or sorry, Venus, the food, and now this person came to me, and you can I can tell you also that this person comes to me a lot to dissect and to understand and to kind of free themselves from these patterns, to free themselves from these suffering that actually cause suffering for them in their daily life as well. And this time I already was in a place of, they came to me and they started talking about this. So I wasn't even, it wasn't even necessary to almost look at the astrology because I knew some of the configurations already that were going on, that were kind of causing this, and where some of it might come from. But the story goes as this. So every time somebody close to them in their home environment eats something they wanted to eat, so something that's, tastes good for them, or is something kind of like almost important to them, food wise, something that's tasty for them. Every time something like that happened, they got really triggered, and actually a lot of, not only triggered, but a lot of shaming from their end towards their close ones started to happen as well. So they started saying mean things. You're a bad person, da da da, for eating the thing that I actually wanted to eat, or it was important to me. So this has started causing problems in their close relationships, in their close family relationships. Now, having already kind of, I knew the chart already. So my first indication or instinct always still was this, everything is present here. Deep wound, Pluto, Venus, food, and the moon. And this is, guys, the most important part. Like, at first this person might not even, remember where this pattern started, because there's something going on. There's a belief, there's a pattern that is causing them suffering and pain and an emotional reaction. Now, when I looked at this again, I was like, okay, I remember, yeah, they have this, they have the moon. So I asked about I asked the mother, actually, in this case. And then gradually, as we conversed, it turns out that it was a repeating pattern in this person's childhood, where the mother ate the good things from her. So mother was experiencing stressful times, and they went into this kind of eating thing, and they actually ate a lot of the good things that this person that came to me wanted to eat as a child. So this, whenever they came home, again, everything they wanted to eat was, done, or there was not that specific food there anymore, and that caused a pain, a wound that wasn't dealt with. Now that person, obviously, as a child, as a young person, they can't process this. They can't process the emotions. They can't process their feelings. They can't really. It's hard to talk about this with your mother, specifically, as a person who's being taken care of. And now this continued very. If I remember correctly, this continued for a while, actually, for years. So this. Whenever something happens like this for a long time, this leaves an imprint in the belief system, in the thinking system, in the energetic system of the person. And now, as you can imagine, we already knew what was causing this, or what was happening in adulthood. Now we can put the pieces together and see, like, okay, every time now in adulthood where their close ones eat some of their food that they had planned to eat, the same pain, the same hurt of that little person triggered, and they now, as an adult, they started, standing up for themselves, but maybe not in the best ways of shaming and telling people mean things. Now, guys, I want this to kind of like a little bit sink into you, to see how deep these patterns go. What are the almost like seemingly small things that can cause these reactions, that can cause this pain or pains even during our adulthood? And we kind of don't, especially with Scorpio deep energy, we don't know where it's coming from, and we're kind of being triggered constantly with these subconscious impulses and pains and hurts. Now, the first step is always, I'm going to give you kind of like the solution to start working with. If you recognize something along the lines of what I just shared in your life as well, or maybe it opens up something and opens up a memory for you as well, to kind of go deeper with your own work. So, first and foremost, every time it's important to understand the pattern, where it comes from, where it originates from. In my experience, I know a lot of people say it's not important, but in my experience, the more you know about it, the more you kind of understand where it comes from, the easier it is later to let go. So in this case, you know, it's literally to do with the mother. So there's anger, there's grief, there's pissed offness towards the mother. And first and foremost, of course, the person had to get angry, had to get pissed off at the mother, and for doing this, for because they hurt that person. Now, the next kind of thing is to start letting go of that anger. You know, there are ways to do that. You know, writing out the anger, physically doing like boxing, kickboxing, whatever it is that you need to do to release that energy, to release that anger. There are meditations as well. And once that anger is let go of, obviously the grief and the sadness starts to emerge. And a lot of people don't want to go into that space as well. So it's scary for them. It's understandable. It's painful. But in order to let this go, a person needs to start doing that as well. Now, the grieving and letting go, sometimes crying, obviously, it comes up. Now, after this has been kind of let go more, done more, processed more, the person, at the same time, actually, I recommend, if you recognize yourself or recognize a pattern, I recommend starting to communicate with the close ones, the people who are getting the bulk of it, the bulk of the negative pattern, into their, or project it onto them, and to start telling them, like, this is what I'm going through, this is what happened to me, I'm working through it, I'm letting go of the anger, I'm processing, I'm grieving. But can we, during that process, can we agree that, you know, every time you start to eat something, for example, if we're using eating, but you can use this with other things as well, whenever you start to eat something that you think I might like or might want, can you, call me, can you send a text, is it okay? In that way, you are showing that, in this case, a Scorpio person, that intimacy, that trust, that they can trust you. And that always builds a more solid, I think solid is a good word, solid foundation within the relationship. So they know they can trust you. So when they kind of go to the fridge and see, oh, the food is gone, they don't start yelling, because they know you're considering or considerate of them. And you're kind of, because you're showing love with that action, actually. So I recommend, communicating that. But this can, I think, later on, it can become like a controlling mechanism as well. So you need to start letting that go. And this person themselves needs to go through that fear as well after that grieving, because when you're grieving that much, the tenderness can be too much to handle. So it's hard to go through the fear and really go, like, face your fears. It's too early. And when the person is in a stronger place, that's when some of that grief and some of that sadness is let go of, and now they can come to a place of being more stronger and go through their fears as well. And that will help as well of changing that pattern of being okay. And at the same time, this is the last piece I have for you: give attention and love to yourself during these triggers, during this pain. And this is actually what this is about, because the food there in that case was love for this person as well. So every time that happened to them, it was as if they were losing love. They were losing love and attention, but in the form of food. So hopefully this makes sense, guys. You need to give that attention for yourself as well, and that way the energy and beliefs can start to change and shift, and new beliefs and energy can come in its place. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, listening. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Let me know if you like this, enjoyed this, if you got anything out of this. Like, share, subscribe. Could appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much, and see you again soon in the next video.